This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Joining us today is Ben Turney, the CEO of Kavango Resources. Hello, Ben. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Thank you, Mark. How are you?
Very good. Thank you, Ben. Thank you for your time today. So some news recently this morning and, of course, yesterday from Kavango Resources on raising funds. 3 million raised yesterday and another 500,000 today. So taking that, of course, that big total to 3.5 million. The key point, however, though, that effectively 2 million of that has been raised by two individual institutional investors. Is that right?
Yeah, it is, Mark. It's a fantastic achievement for Kavango. Investors in the small cap space in London will know that it's very rare for a pre-discovery exploration company to pick up institutional support or very high, ultra high net worth support in notifiable positions. Most people, when they put money into these stocks, they view them as a trade and will stay below the notifiable threshold. So I think it's a huge achievement and a fantastic endorsement for Kavango today that we've picked up not one but two strategic investors, one of whom's put in £1.5 million, and their identity will be revealed once they have to submit a TR1 once the placing settles in 3 weeks' time. And of course the second party is Origo, who we've welcomed in today for £500,000, specialist African investment company who we've been working with now since February, and we're really delighted to bring Origo on board because their support, I believe, will really help establish us as Southern Africa's leading exploration company. That's where we want to get to.
Excellent. Well, of course, a total there of 3.5 million, apologies, is a significant amount of money to raise, particularly when the environment at the moment, particularly in the markets, is not that great. It seems to have died off a little bit. So to get that raise away, and then particularly with the institutional investors, that how much of a challenge was that? Or just give me a sense of how it makes you feel to be able to get that sort of raise away. There's confidence there, obviously.
I'm laughing, Mark, because I can't begin to tell you how much work this has been over the last year. I mean, we've really been swimming against the tide. But I've presented to anyone who would listen to the Kavango story. We've got an extensive network of contacts now in place. A lot of companies are aware of us. Of course, we also have the JV process for the KSZ that we're also working on in parallel. But I'm just delighted at the response there's been to this. It seems that people have been, watching Kavango, watching our progress. We made a huge amount of progress across our portfolio over the last year and in developing our team. And I think that's the key thing. And I think the market has massively mispriced us. So, yeah, the price at the moment is pretty painful for everybody. I mean, I think about my own shareholding as well. I mean, I've put a lot of money directly into Kavango. I've bought all of my shares. So the dilution is certainly an issue for me, but obviously what we have to do is what's best for the business. And we've got two world-class projects in the KSZ and in the KCB. We've got a huge amount of ground, 14,000 square kilometres across our portfolio, and there's Ditau as well, which we can't forget with those wonderful IOCG results that we got, which we announced the week before last. So there's a huge amount for us to go at. We've invested very heavily in terms of our infrastructure in Botswana, in terms of our teams, our people. We're staffed completely by locals in the country, from Tips, our managing director, and Fred, our exploration manager, right down throughout the company, through the senior geologists, the field geologists, down to the camp cleaners. I mean, this really is a Botswana focused business. And I think the brand that we've built, the work that we've done, the progress that we've made, that's really been recognised by the professionals and by the people who are able to write large checks. So this weekend's financing, it didn't all just happen over the course of sort of one weekend. A huge amount of effort has gone into this over the last year to build up the awareness of us and different conversations with different parties. And I'm just delighted that we've managed to pull it all off. It's been a wonderful result for everyone involved in the company.
Okay. Well, I do remember that last time we spoke and we did that special feature on the drilling program for the KCB. I did mention about funding, and you did say there are a number of opportunities available. And of course, today or in the last couple of days, the market is seeing the result of that. Of course, you have mentioned the dilution there. It affects you as well, of course, as existing shareholders. But do you have anything to perhaps say to existing shareholders on the dilution front, but then also about how well Kavango is potentially now set up for this flexible 37,000 meter drilling program?
Well, this is exactly the point, Mark. I mean, if you look at our portfolio, we're exploring for the right metals. We're primarily looking for copper and nickel. These are going to be the two main drivers of the green revolution, and any discoveries of these metals are getting heavily marked up. We've obviously seen the success that Cobre Resources has had down in Australia over recent months. We've done all the hard work in the field in terms of identifying our drill targets. That has required a lot of patience from our shareholders. And again, I think it's something the market hasn't at all, really recognised in our business, just quite how thorough we've been. We announced the 37-meter drill program, flexible drill program, because we didn't know what our funding situation would be. Obviously, we knew at some point we probably would have to raise, but it wasn't certain that we would even be able to in these conditions. The equity markets are, to all intents and purposes, shut to most companies in any meaningful sense. So what I also had running in parallel are a number of other opportunities I've been looking at. I did that roadshow while I was down in Botswana. I'm constantly presenting to other investors, and there are still other options that are on the table to us. But for now, we're heavily cashed up. We've got the drill rig in the field in the KCB already. We're now going to complete the power transaction for the Kanye acquisition. So we'll be taking over full control of 100% of those license areas. So we'll certainly want to start drilling in those. I would hope, towards the end of this year or the start of next year. That's definitely the plan. And of course, there's the KSZ JV that Tamasys is leading for us, and that process is going very well. I'm really, really happy at the response we've had so far. It's still early days, so I'm certainly not making any promises. But the whole point about sort of my role is I'm here to set as many hairs running as I can, because you never know in this business, what might come in. And thankfully, sort of one of the hairs we set running in terms of the investor presentations, well, that one has come in as a massive winner for us, and we are now in an extremely strong position, fully funded, with a huge exploration package that's highly prospective, with the right team on the ground, both in terms of our internal capabilities for exploration, but also the partners we're working with, Mindea and Spectral on the geophysics. Mindea obviously is our drill partner. So everything is now in place for us. So yes, the dilution may seem heavy, but what we've actually done, the flip side of that, I believe, is massively increase our chances now of making multiple metal discoveries. And that's our goal, our specific operational target within CAV. So I think that's the key point to focus on. We're now funded to meet that objective. If the metal is there, we're going to find it.
Okay, excellent. We're talking just on if the metal is there. Are you able to share any recent updates from the current activities at the KCB?
Yeah, sure. We're working through the RC program at the moment. So the first 6 holes, I think we're on the 4th one now. Although obviously I've lost track a little bit over the last few days, getting all this financing resolved. So what we're doing, Mark, is we're doing reverse circulation drilling on the 6 targets down to 150 meters. And we're then going to follow up on each target with diamond tails. So we'll switch the rig over, because it's a multi-purpose rig. It can do both RC drilling and also diamond core drilling. So we'll do the RC first, and then switch the rig over to diamond drilling, where we'll then finish the holes off, and we'll put another 100 to 150 meters in each hole. So taking us down, we think, to 250 to 300 meters. And then obviously we need to see what the geology tells us. Now, the reason that we've made that switch is because we got some fantastic results in from the field that we announced last week on the CSAMT. We believe we're the first company in the KSZ to use CSAMT. We're certainly the first company to use CSAMT in the way that we're doing it. Another key strength of Kavango is our in-house geophysics capabilities and the innovations that we have with Jeremy Brett and Hilary Gumbo. So obviously this program has evolved since we first announced it, but we're very excited about the progress that we're making, and I can't wait to start putting results out.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Ben Turney. And I believe we will be doing a little bit of a special feature tomorrow on looking at your deck, your presentation. So you'll actually, I think, be hopefully making the investment case to us tomorrow. Is that right?
It is, Mark. And obviously now that we're fully funded, I'll take you through exactly what our operational plans are. So looking forward to that.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Ben Turney, the CEO of Kavango Resources.
Thanks for having me.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programmes at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.